Hello everyone, and welcome to the Diplomacy Timing Window. I'm Kazadoom.
I'm the half-herd.
I'm Hungry Hippos.
Since we joked so much about Titans recently and how over the top they are, we felt there would be a good opportunity to do a bit of a deep dive into their strengths and weaknesses in this episode.
Yes.
Weaknesses? Let's see.
What weaknesses? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Love the
We'll
Titans.
see. Maybe there's something we can figure out.
I think the Titans are the best thing to come to this game since macaroni and cheese, baby.
You mean the strongest thing, not necessarily the best thing.
I mean,
Matter of opinion.
again, no weaknesses. I've done research on it. I played with them, played against them. There is no such thing as a weakness to the Titans.
All in good time, my friend. Let's go
Yeah,
through
let's
it.
see. Let's go through it. What do they have going for them? How is their setup? So first off, they have a 4-resource planet. I mean, yes, it has 1 influence, which is rather weak. So they have 4 to 1, which grants them natural access to the technology second, especially important for the first turn. And for later on, it's also very easy to protect since you only need 1 PDS and
Yeah,
a bunch of
and
infantry to hold it.
later on, it's no longer a 4-value planet.
Yes, it actually transforms into a 7-3, 7-4, I think, with
Yes.
a triple PDS shot on the 5. So it's pretty defensible. The only thing you really shouldn't do is it because then your own PDS will shoot you back
I didn't know that.
because it stays on the
The
planet.
more you know.
Fun fact.
But wait, no, but it's idle. So
No,
you're a hero.
That
You can turn.
idle only means it's for gameplay purposes for the rolling mechanisms in Tabletop Simulator.
So
That's the
you
only
don't.
reason.
So, but it's your hero that you turn on and off. So you're telling me your own hero will fire against you.
No, your
effectively.
planet is now something different and it has an attachment independent of who controls it.
Understood. Okay. Well, here I thought after playing Titans that I knew about them, but that's something new.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
yes, one weakness.
I've
if you
never
ever-
seen Titans lose their planet though, so
Give that
why
diesel.
it hasn't come up.
If you ever should lose your home
Quite
system,
the
you're
feat.
really screwed. But yeah, that's for the home system. I mean, unit-wise, they start off very, very well. They have 2 cruisers, 1 dreadnought, and 3 infantry to go with them, plus 2 fighters that usually stay home. So they have more than most other factions.
And their cruisers start with capacity, meaning
Yes.
that they get the optimal starting point by having 3 systems where they can put sleeper tokens in immediately.
Yes, in the end, they can get up to 3 planets on up to 3 systems, 2 of which can be 2 spaces away, which is probably better than most can do, most factions.
Yes.
I mean, starting technology-wise, they're not that exciting. I mean, they start with the Scanlink, which is amazing considering their racial ability, faction ability.
Yeah, and we'll get into that faction ability in a bit, but suffice to say that Scanlink on Titans is the best thing since Blink 182, in my opinion.
Yeah, it basically gives you a free PDS on activation of a system where you have a unit.
So let's go through that. You already own the system. You got a
Yep.
sleeper token there, and then you go in and say you want to take the second planet, or you just want to go back in there. Because of Scanlink, you don't even need to place another super token. You effectively do, but it automatically turns into a Hell Titan. Or
This is what we like to call timing window magic.
Yes.
Or you turn it directly into your flagship.
Yes.
Or you turn it directly into a mech.
And an infantry.
Immediately.
Yep. It falls under the category of free stuff, which they have a lot.
That's so much crazy.
Yeah, come on down to Titan's Emporium where everything is free and you don't ever have to pay till 2023.
And no one bothers you because they can't. You need more than one. More than one
Yep.
faction. And even then it's a toss-up whether or not they'll get even anywhere close to your home system or
Yeah. So two things for Scanlink. First, they give you free stuff. They give you an Explorer, which allows you to actually function on less planets than any other faction. And yeah, free mechs are always great, or free PDS. Anti-mass as the second tech is nice to have, I guess, but
Meh.
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 Where's the synergy? I guess that's the main question there.
Yeah,
like,
I think the whole point behind
why?
building this was like, how can we make something just crazy strong?
I mean, in the end, the mean thing about anti-mass is that it might lead you in a different direction from the tech path that we're suggesting, which we find is pretty optimal. So it's like
I mean, I think the other thing too is like it's almost like, why did they do it? Because maybe, you know, in certain map setups, you could have your asteroid fields placed in such a way that it blocks the Titans, right? and without anti-mass, right? And Titans they're not gonna be like, ah man, I should get anti-mass, right? So maybe without it, you think that's a potential deterrent, but no, they have anti-mass just for fun, so you can't even place asteroid fields to stop them.
I suppose there is a potential tech path where you go to the three blue, I forget, why is the name
logistics?
Not fleet logistics, the third
lightweight
deflectors, where you can take your Saturn engine 2 and just go through everything, at least 3 spaces.
Yeah, but it's probably overkill.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not necessarily overkill, not when you consider duranium armor matched with your sustained damage cruiser.
Yeah,
but I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're getting ahead of yourself again. You're too excited, man. You're too excited. You gotta rein it in.
There's just too much silliness here.
Get through it. Let's get through it.
I mean, one thing that's probably not the best compared to other factions is their faction Promissory Note, which is Terraform, which basically adds +1/+1 to a planet and gives it all traits. It's a one-use Promissory Note, so
I was gonna say I think in itself it's a good card. I think the thing that makes it a little weaker than others is it's a one and done, right? You're never going to get it back to then pawn it off again. So
yeah,
I think that's where it's maybe not as high tier as some of the other ones.
And paired with their like weak 2 commodity, they're not the best trade faction. But nobody wants to trade with you anyway, so
nobody wants to trade with you. What do you really care about trade goods? So.
And if you're against Titans and you feel like getting an extra 2 commodities out of them is worth it, it's not. Don't do it. Resist.
Yeah, as we already touched on, the faction abilities, basically you get your freemium PDS, your free premium PDS on the second activation of your systems after exploring them. And then with Scanlink, you get basically 1 each activation.
So Kaza, walk me through this. You explore a planet, you place a sleeper token.
Yes,
you activate a system. You can turn that sleeper into a PDS. Now, how does that work with Scanlink?
So basically, Scanlink triggers upon activating the system and lets you explore. And when exploring, you can use your ability to place a sleeper token, and Terragenesis works after you explore. Oh no, wait, it's like Awaken works after activation, which is after you already used Terragenesis to place the token. So you just
so that's the timing window magic we're talking about there, right? It's the when you activate versus after you activate, so you get to do it all in one shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all you really need is a unit on the planet. I'm not
100% on the card text of Scanlink, but it might also just be in the system, but not 100% on that.
Are we also forgetting the fact that it's great, you get a Hell Titan, but not only that, but they're also getting to explore the planet, which means even further potential upgrades because of
more planet upgrades, more perks, more shards that can turn into relics that you can use. Exploring is nothing but boons. So
Yeah, it's
free
pretty
stuff and more explore, and your
which
and
gives you more
Titans-
free stuff.
Yes,
It's just a snowball.
it gets so big.
Yeah, and I mean, then the other faction ability, you can trade in a PDS for a flagship, which is nice because you might run out of PDS in your supply. So what else to do?
These Titans have the greatest synergy I've seen since British colonization.
Oh, they just don't fall apart that easily.
I mean,
Definitely not. They'll be here for thousands of years.
Yeah, and then aside from the faction abilities, they also got two really great faction units. The Saturn engine, as we already talked about, it's basically starting off as a cruiser 2 of other factions with one less movement. And once you upgrade them, you get crazy movement 3, capacity 2, and sustained damage.
Sustained damage
on a cruiser.
Sustained damage on a cruiser is the best thing since Jack Bauer.
Like, fun fact, I played Soul so often we in our group played Soul so often in our play group before the expansion. And I think in our last game of Twilight Imperium without the expansion, we realized that their carries had sustained damage. And we thought they were one of the best factions before that already.
For sure.
So
yeah. But I mean,
it's quite a realization. It's like, oh, they sustained. Whoopsies.
I mean, here's why I think it's just ridiculous, right? Is first of all, 2 cost, right? Like compared to even you're talking the Soul Carriers, a cost of 3, the Dreadnought cost of 4, Flagships cost of 8, like 2 cost on a sustained damage unit. That's huge economy right there, right?
You can pump that stuff out all day.
Just comparing the Saturn Engine 2 to a upgraded Dreadnought, you're half the cost. You're 1 less on that combat roll.
Just one.
You got 1 more movement. You got double the capacity, right? And the only
2 more
difference
movement,
being is you can't. You're not immune to direct hit. But I mean, how many cruisers are in reinforcements? I know there's 5 Dreadnoughts, but is it 8 or 9?
Cruisers.
8 cruisers, yeah.
8 cruisers. So you're almost double the plastic in terms of what you can put on the board. So direct hits, you don't even care because you just got so many.
Yeah, for the price of a Dreadnought, you get either a cruiser, a destroyer, and 2 fighters as a fleet, or you get 2 cruisers.
2 cruisers.
So it's like.
Yeah.
And so if we haven't gone crazy enough, I think the Saturn Engine 2 is not the greatest unit upgrade that you can get for Titans.
It's not?
It's the Hell Titan 2, which you can get for free for just by exploring.
I would like to stop you there because I still think that the Saturn Engine is technically the better unit.
Whoa.
No, let's put it like this.
Let's go on the hot seat.
The Saturn Engine upgrade is not... It's amazing, but Hell Titans are amazing to begin with, as are Saturn Engine ones. So it's like you have already great units that get even better if you upgrade the Saturn Engine.
That is true. I think I would agree that the upgrade to Saturn Engine is better than the upgrade of the Hell Titan.
Yes, that's.
But in my opinion, I'd say the Hell Titan is the best overall unit.
Yes,
it's the best unit.
I mean,
sounds like we're all on the same page there.
It's the fun thing is it is both a PDS like any other faction. It's a mini
structure,
space stock with production 1, and it's also a kind of weak-ish mech all in one.
A ground force, effectively.
Yeah.
With sustained damage.
Sustained damage, decent combat. And yeah, I mean, it's still got all the best, like PDSs in general, I think are great units, right? Planetary shield, space cannon. You always want those, but just that ability to have sustained damage and to they can participate in the ground combat is just.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Not that if you have the PDS alone on a planet, or the Hell Titan, it's not even that bad. It gets really bad if you have additional forces on it, because then they kind of snowball, because you then can sustain and potentially heal with duranium armor, and you just I did the math on it, and if you have Duranium armor and infantry and a Hell Titan, you need 6 rounds of 1 hits to kill those 2 units.
Well, you brought it up, so let's talk about Duranium armor a bit as what we're calling the number 1 clutch tech for this faction.
So I think that when we start talking about that, we need to talk about how do we get there? What is the priority when you starting out with anti-mass and scan link drone network? What's the priority after that? Is it to get psychoarchaeology or is it to get to plasma scoring?
I always say plasma scoring, right? Extra die roll early on, synergizes with your Hell Titans.
Mm-hmm. Ideally, you have a green tech skip, so you don't even need to bother.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, all red technologies, plasma scoring, Megan defense grid synergize extremely well with the PDS, because you still have to get onto the planet before you actually start fighting them.
Yeah, I would love Megan on these guys as well. I think that's
imagine having
synergy.
Plasma scoring and Megan means that on average you kill 2 infantry before the fight starts.
But if you don't have a tech skip, then I think AI development algorithm is going to be better than Megan.
Yes, if you plan to get Saturn engines, which you probably are.
Yes.
Because it's very good, you should get AI development.
Yes. And that's going to help you with producing more cruisers later too.
Yeah, you get 2 resources. Or you can then go War Suns easily too. It's yeah. There's I would say the core is get to Duranium armor somehow, get to Saturn 2, and get Hell Titan 2 if you feel like you're highly under pressure.
So I'd say after AI development algorithm, get your Saturn engine 2 and then Duranium armor is what my opinion would be.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably go Duranium first, but I think it's so situational. You can play it anyway there. Just reordering those things. You don't need much in terms of technology. It's just go with what makes sense in your game there.
Yeah. And I think the amazing thing here is there's different ways to go about it, but if you really want to, you can max out, in a sense, your tech tree on Titans with 4 tech researches.
Yep.
AI development, Duranium armor, Hell Titan 2, Saturn engine, and you're done.
Yeah. Again, for me, Hell Titan 2 is not the end all be all and could be a late game tech as well. But yes, there you're definitely well set up. And I mean, if you get a skip in there, you're golden. It's round 2, you have everything you need if you double tech once. It's phew.
Having said all that, there's always nice to haves. I'd say the nice to have here would be Graviton laser system, or if we're going to stick to the red tech, assault cannon, because you're definitely going to have at least 3 cruisers at a time doing their thing, at least, along with some other support there in whatever fleet that you're choosing to use at any given point in time.
I mean, I also started loving my Destroyer 2s. They're also in there tech-wise. You can also go Fighter 2 with especially if you have the AI development path, you can get naturally just AI development and your starting techs. You can get Dreadnought 2, you can get Carrier 2, Fighter 2. The only thing that you cannot get is Infantry 1, I think. And naturally, War Sun, you need another red tech to do it.
And I
so
think
you just can do anything you want depending on the situation you find yourself in, which is just great.
I think the bottom line is, though, that not only do they have great units, it doesn't take much research to get to the ideal place for you as a Titans of Rule. You're not like the Sardak trying to research everything, or the Space Kitties to try to get to all that triple yellow tech and the double green. You're there with some lower level tech, and you're fine. Yeah, I'm good.
I'd like to focus in again on Duranium and Hell Titans a bit as well. So starting with Duranium, just to kind of again, why I think this is the #1 tech for this faction. So first off, sustained damage. What doesn't have sustained damage for these guys, right? You got your flagship. If you're going War Suns, you got War Suns. You got dreadnoughts. You got you got cruisers. You got your PDS. You got your mechs, right? Like,
Yep.
almost nothing. I think almost nothing they have doesn't have sustained damage. So
And-
And
like,
nothing
just
that you
in
will
itself.
use.
And in the end, the real problem is even if you completely crush them in space, there's only a few factions that can actually bombard them through their PDS.
Yeah.
And then ground
And then
combat
you have to deal with
is
ground
so
combat.
volatile. It's so random.
And the thing
you
I think,
just
Kaza, you pointed
sustain
out to me,
out.
the thing I was just going to say, the thing you pointed out to me, Kaza, is, and I don't think I ever noticed this before the expansion. Duranium armor talks about not duranium armor, direct hit, right? Let's talk direct hit when you sustain. Only affects ships, right?
Yep.
And you have 2 ground forces that have sustained damage that cannot be direct hit. So that synergy with Duranium, when you can't direct hit those, like you were saying, just to kill 2 units is going to take, 6 rounds of rolling a hit.
Yep. And I mean, in general, I think that I haven't played enough and with many groups that I can say much about it, but I think that Duranium armor and mechs could become a dominating force if you can get to it rather reasonably quickly. Because it's so hard to get rid of those things.
So the units in the tech that I think we spent a fair amount of time.
Hold your
explaining
horses.
us-
Hold your horses.
No,
I still
is there
need to
more?
talk. I still need to just say, Hell Titans are the greatest thing since WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
And
Can you smell what The Rock's
and their
cooking?
synergy is just unparalleled. I think. I challenge anyone to name a better synergy in this game. So these Hell Titans, they work with exploration, right? You can build them for free with your faction ability. You get production 1, so when you're activating, you're exploring, you're making free either PDSs or flagships or mechs and infantry. You're producing with them, and it's like an all-in-one. It's just synergy. You just can't beat it.
It's so broken.
Yeah.
It's
And,
so broken.
I mean, another thing that's maybe not that great is the flagship. I mean, it's just movement 1 capacity 3, 2 times on 7. It's
But
like,
Yes,
it's
it is.
free.
it can be free if you just use your trade in the PDS.
I'll
But
take.
there's a few non-exciting things about them, and they're just like, yeah, it exists.
I'll take
It's
it.
nice to have you get it for
Yeah.
free. Why not?
A free 2 dice rolling, sustained damaging 3 capacity unit. It's I mean, you take that for what it is.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And speaking of vanilla, I guess their mechs are also vanilla as well. They're just standard 2 cost, 6 combat with sustained damage, but their perk being is whenever you would build a PDS, you can build a mech instead.
And add an infantry to it. So if you run out of PDS, which is very
Which you
common,
will.
you just
Oh, you
place yourself a mech. And it also it reduces the amount of dead strategy cards, because worst case you get construction, just drop 2 mechs into infantry on your planets and make it basically impossible to take them over.
will. On to the agent.
Onto the hero suit, yeah. So the agent, on the first glance, I thought this is not a good agent because it cancels 1 hit.
I think that's pretty good. I
Yes,
think it's really good.
I mean,
Yeah, it looks kind of boring on paper, but in practice, I think straight up canceling a hit is just flat out good. There's no denying it.
then I looked at it in a way where okay, I can choose where to cancel and when to cancel my hits. So if I lose the space combat badly, then I just say, okay, whatever. cut my losses. And if he wants to land, then I use the agent to keep my planets, because that one hit, especially in the early game, in any fight, makes or breaks combats.
Yes, you're not going to have a ton of infantry coming at you early game, so you get to keep your planet no matter what.
Yeah, it's like basically canceling not two dreadnoughts, about 1.5 dreadnoughts worth of shots, or 5 fighters worth of shots. And again, if they come with overwhelming space forces, then you just say, okay, I'll just protect my ground with that one hit. And compare it especially with a similar agent that are combat based. There's only one that's actually better in my opinion. And that's the Yin one, where you can, when a destroyer or cruiser is destroyed, you get 2 fighters. Because that actually cancels like 2 hits instead of 1. Virtually.
True.
And then there's Barony that does 1 additional die roll for a ship, which is basically half a hit, best case. Or the same thing for ground combat for Sol. So yeah, also not great. So yeah.
Yep. So
it's
definitely
versatile
up
and
there.
helps with getting more Duranium armor triggers in.
Beautiful.
Yes.
It's true. More synergy right there.
Mhm.
I love it. Keep the synergy coming.
Yep.
And yeah, so actually keeping the synergy coming. How about that commander?
Yeah, whenever you produce, get a TG, a trade good. Since your PDS can
And
produce,
you're
this
always
is great.
producing. You're
Yep.
always producing.
Yep.
Yeah,
God,
build a destroyer basically for free. So more free stuff.
Mhm.
More free stuff, right? More fantastic synergy with the PDS. We're gonna keep finding more.
I mean,
It's
Heck,
great.
if you get Starween tools, you could just build a Saturn engine or cruiser
Yeah.
for free.
I've thought that too, but that's a point that I want to come back later, because in the end, one of the main disadvantages of Titans is that it just run out of plastic. You just have too much money for the plastic limit that you can build.
Oh, that's a huge weakness.
It's
Oh,
a huge
it's-
weakness.
that's
It's like
bad.
it's
It
pretty
turns out I have too much money.
Yeah.
Who wants $1?
So yeah, but then you also have the hero talking money, which lets you refresh your home system and add the aforementioned +3/+3 to the resource count and space cannon. So yeah.
So basically, these guys get a ton of free stuff, a ton of units that can sustain damage. They explore all the time, and they're just the greatest thing since the Twilight Saga.
Let's finish off by looking at how do you counter this? What are its weaknesses? I don't think it has any, but let's just brainstorm a bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
let's-
struggle to find a weakness
Again-
whatsoever. These are the gods of the galaxy.
I mean, the weakness that they have is that they don't really have much to trade with compared to other factions. And in the end, at this point, their reputation does not help them to find cooperative partners. So you will have a hard time and much contest around your planets, I guess.
No mutual trade support for the thrones. Oh well.
Probably not.
Probably not.
So let's see what factions can counter some of these things. I think we already mentioned the L1, the Lizix cancels their planetary shield. Getting there is going to be tough, and then once you do cancel it, you still got to fight their Hell Titan, any potential mechs that are there.
You
the
still have to
infantry,
survive the ground combat.
the Duranium armor, aforementioned synergy.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's one.
they deal enough damage that they can get there. Yeah.
All right.
So the
So then-
hero ability is pretty ridiculous.
Running out of plastic, that kind of sparks the potential to have Cabal be there and just eat their plastic little by little.
Yeah, taking them hostage.
Yeah.
I feel like Titans could deal with that by they'd be. I could see them being pretty capable of blockading their space docks to free their plastic.
True. You can get there and just be there.
But it is they're definitely, I think, a counter, like you're saying, because their issue is running out of plastic, and limiting that number of plastic on the board is a pretty good all around counter, I'd say.
Hmm.
My favorite, I think, counter is really to fight fire with fire. I think Necro is great here, right?
Let's explain that.
Yeah, I mean, if what's there to explain? If Hell Titans are the best, why not just have your own Hell Titans, right? And you just become the Titans, right? You do miss the opportunity to build them for free, so you do have to, focus a lot around taking construction, I guess, to get your fleet of Hell Titans up. But all this other synergies are there, right? You can take Duranium, you can take Scanlink, and then you get the Hell Titan, and you get all the benefits of having the Hell Titan.
Yes, that would be scary.
So I like Necro as a good counter potential.
I mean, it's always hard to say counter. It's like soft counter, I guess, because I mean, you can't take anything from them really with Necro.
No, I guess
like
you're
you
just
get the same
lifting yourself
defensive-
onto
yeah.
the same godly playing field.
The same
With the
defensive
mortals
thing
down
going
below.
then, yeah.
So the Mentak have a flagship that cancels sustained damage. Is that only for ships, or is that for all units in that system?
No, that's for ships, but the mech has the same ability for ground combat.
Perfect.
So
Okay,
that
yeah.
kind of takes a lot.
Yeah, so I could see Mentak being a top tier counter then.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mantic, as far as I know, is not highly regarded, and I haven't played them yet. So it's hard to say if they're strong enough in their core to compete.
Yeah. They could also be annoying with their ability to take. Well, I guess they're only taking trade goods if a transaction's happening, not if they're just gaining
I think
the trade
also
good from
when
the
you gain
commander.
trade goods.
Yeah,
I think they trigger
I'm
on
not
gain
sure,
as
but
well. Yeah, we'd have to read up on that.
I think it's gained through a transaction, but I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure.
Yeah, and then I would say there's like the trifecta of Soul, Sardak, and Yin that could compete on the ground combat.
Yeah, that's the big area where the Titans shine. So definitely these guys can at least put up a decent fight.
So here's the thing, though. I mean, we're nitpicking almost to try to find where there are some areas of potential weakness just by having factional counters. But I think what's important, and what I've seen by playing Titans myself and against them, is you're gonna need more than one faction to ally with and have it be your goal of just stopping them. Because if it's just one-on-one, I don't even think Necro would be able to slow them down enough. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you definitely have, like, what we didn't even discuss yet is that they have a rather easy time scoring most objectives. So if you don't stop and stifle their development early, it gets super hard. But on the other hand, everyone who commits into your slice also basically risks his or her game if they don't succeed in stopping you. So,
which I think is a high probability of failure for sure. No one can stop these gods of the game.
I mean, you really would need to coordinate two people to infringe on their slice, so they can't use their agent against that one attack that might come. So you overload their agent so they can't block two hits, but only one. Then one might succeed, but in the end, it's like this game of chicken where the first committing probably will lose.
Yeah, I definitely, I encourage people to share their thoughts on why they think Titans aren't as good as we say they are. Pretty sure we're going to see nothing because there's nothing to say. But
No.
you can give it a try.
Feel free to disagree, and please let us know what your thoughts are. If we're like out of our mind thinking that they're completely imbalanced, or what other counters or ways to deal with them have emerged in your games. It would be really interesting to hear.
All right. I guess kind of closing notes here is that these Titans of Ol are versatile. There's got strong defense, very mobile, durable, cheap units. You know, the ability to achieve most types of objectives, and you know, they're just an overall top tier, very strong faction.
And free stuff.
Free stuff.
Love
so much
it.
Free stuff.
All right, I think we have spent enough time stalling in this timing window, so let's hit the pause button and keep the game moving.
Twilight Imperium 4th Edition is a game of galactic conquest and diplomacy with clans around the world. It was designed by Dane Beltrami, Corey Konieczka, and Christian Peterson, with art by Scott Schomburg and published by Fantasy Flight Games. Please support the official release and your local game store by purchasing a personal copy. For those of you who want to enjoy Fantasy Flight's game online or on mobile, in asynchronous or synchronous play, which, let's face it, is the only type of board gaming we can do these days, please check out and support the Twilight Wars app. All links in the description.